making their way through neighborhoods, pulling up at an apartment complex or at a large structure and walk in casually. They're doing surveillance. They're finding out the layout of that building because that's in their station's jurisdiction so that they know if there were a fire, they would know how to handle it. And they would get that information out, heading to the scene, knowing what they were going to deal with, making sure that they have their fire extinguishers. Well, law enforcement, they do the best they can as well to see what area that they are providing law enforcement for. And in this case, it's in the eastern side of Palmdale, in the Antelope Valley. If you're watching perhaps from other parts of the country or even the world, which we see at times on our Fox 11 website here, that this is a suburban area of Los Angeles County, in the northern portion of Los Angeles County, in a desert regime of Los Angeles County that we call the Antelope Valley, off of State Route 14, where this pursuit occurred and came to an end. It's not code 4. It's not all clear, as I said, because we believe that that suspect is still at large in this complex here. Unclear if anybody was hurt, including that suspect. Unclear if anybody's being held against their will, because this is an individual wanted for kidnapping.
Right. So as you talk about them getting surveillance, you know, it's one call to the manager of this apartment complex and you get the layout of the complex. So their intel probably came in rather quickly as to the layout of the building, as to who might or might not be home. You know, you kind of know if there are families there with children or people who are home a lot. The manager perhaps is giving them the exact information they need as to what units are where and where the suspect could have gone if they even got very far. Remember, shots fired by the deputies there. Very dangerous pursuit here. And a passenger in that vehicle, said to be a kidnapping victim in that vehicle, a woman who gave up with her hands up right away. And you have to wonder about, you know, what she knows about the suspect. And you have to feel for that person who's a kidnapping victim.
Absolutely. There's going to be a lot of side stories that will come out of this, and we try to get that information once we cover these pursuits as they're occurring, where they're so fluid, and then we'll find out these backstories, and we'll get more information as to how it started, what the situation was involving that individual wanted for kidnapping, what's the condition of that kidnapping victim. All that information will come available once this comes to an end. And this could be a multi-hour situation. We've seen these last for hours and hours, Christine, as you know, having covered them with me for so many years.
Yes, it actually could be a very long night, as they are, you know, for their own safety too, perhaps waiting to get the information they need to proceed and to go into that building and clear it if they need to. Perhaps, again, there is some kind of negotiation going on with the suspect who went into that entryway. And perhaps the person's been injured. We don't know. It looks like the officers there can kind of see that entryway, that stairwell, from 2 points, from the main entrance there and then the cutout there of the building.
And the one there that's closest to the edge of that awning, that opening, that porch, that stairwell, definitely has their weapon drawn and focused still on that second floor unit, that second floor unit, which would make sense in that if that suspect did make his way up the stairwell, which is right there, made a quick left, that would be the first unit and made entry. And it's unclear if that was just a random pick, if this building was a random pick, if he knew somebody inside this building, this complex, inside that unit. That's unclear. What we do know is that we saw 2 individuals on that second floor balcony communicating with deputies for some time. One finally decided to make his way down, climbing down that second floor balcony, taken into custody, detained. But we got confirmation from the LA County Sheriff's Department that they don't think that was the suspect. So that suspect is still barricaded, isolated inside one of those units. Injured or uninjured, we don't know at this time.
So we are on YouTube right now, still broadcasting this, well, putting this on YouTube for our viewers on foxla.com. And, you know, I have one person here who posted, send in the social workers. Well, you know that in this day and age, agencies are working with all kinds of support systems to bring in help to handle situations. We do know there was an alleged kidnapping victim. You have to think that person might be meeting with somebody who could be of assistance on that. And then we don't know, again, if this suspect is there with relatives, if this is their home.
And bringing in a social worker, I'll say this, is that we believe that this suspect may be armed, has already acted very erratically, has caused a collision involving at least one law enforcement unit, was able to evade a pit maneuver, made their way upstairs. And when I say they bring in crisis negotiators, which they have for years, those are trained individuals who try to bring these situations to a peaceful end. So that end of policing has already been employed to a degree. But as we've seen things unfold, those officers, which we believe we saw discharge those weapons, that's a split-second decision.
And let me just say, too, I'm thinking the person might have said that sarcastically.
Yes.
Because as we talk about police reform and the calls for change, you have these situations where it was a very dangerous pursuit, where an innocent person struck a CHP vehicle, and you had the person avoid a spike strip, avoid a pit maneuver, and continue on and run into this complex while a passenger got out of their car with her hands up, and word is it's an alleged kidnapping situation here.
And again, when I spoke about the social workers, and being that was likely a snarky comment, there are some people who think that that should be employed. And that's why I wanted to make the point in a situation like this, where there are certain situations that's not going to work, especially when you see the erratic behavior of suspects. And I know that we're in a tenuous time when it comes to policing, and we've seen some awful scenes, but we also know that the vast majority of the officers out there are hardworking, protective, loving family people who want to go home safely to their family and have been trained the best they can and try to do the best they can in making those split-second life or death decisions.
Well, we do know that there is debate about pursuits. We have seen innocent people get killed in a pursuit. In this situation, we do know that there was a person in the vehicle, and the information that came in right away, which we had to wait a minute to confirm it, was that it was an alleged kidnapping. So you had somebody who was in this vehicle who didn't want to be there, and we don't know if it was somebody that the suspect knew, like a personal relationship, or an innocent person. They've got no information on that, so I'm going to maybe guess that it might be somebody that they knew. And when the suspect ran here, they ran with some kind of bag. You think after a dangerous pursuit and a pit maneuver and a vehicle hit that the person would just abandon everything and run, but they wanted to carry this bag, this black bag, for some reason with them and ran into that complex.
And it seemed a bit cumbersome, whatever was in that bag. And you're right, Christine, when we see what we call the foot bails, where they decide to just call it off, jump out of the vehicle and start running, typically they leave everything behind and do whatever they can to be as light as possible to get away. But this suspect clearly wanted to carry whatever was inside, the contents inside that bag, with him.
Well, we talked about this possibly being a very long night here for law enforcement as they figure out what the deal is with this person who ran into this building. We're going to keep a watch on it here on our YouTube channel. We do have a 7 o'clock newscast coming up here on Fox 11 News. And so my colleague Alex Michelson and Marla Tejas are gearing up to bring you information on that. We don't know how this is going to play out. I think when people watch a pursuit, Rick, they want to know what's the ending here. How does this end? How does this suspect come out of this building? And how do these deputies go home to their families? So we'll continue to watch this situation. If we can get more information for you by 10 o'clock at night or 7 o'clock, Alex standing by here to bring you that newscast, we'll certainly bring it to you. But when Rick and I step down, we'll keep our picture up. We're going to step away from the mics and let us go on air here at Fox 11 soon. But we'll keep that picture up, and if things develop, Marla and Alex will jump on, of course, and continue to, I don't know if you give it, Alex, are you doing your whole newscast on this, or are you going to
We are not doing our whole newscast on this. You know, big day when it comes to the mask mandate going away. We've also got Kevin Faulconer running for governor. But we are on top of this breaking news, and we're eager to see a peaceful close to this, and we're going to keep an eye on this and also have some of the key moments of what we've seen so far coming up in just a few moments at the top of the hour here on Fox 11.
Well, we certainly do hope that everybody's okay in that complex and this does get resolved peacefully. So I'm Christine Devine with Rick Dickert. We're going to sign off and send it over to Alex and Marla for the 7 o'clock news on Fox 11.
And a bag run in. We saw someone with red shorts climbed down the balcony and surrendered to the police later. So this is one of the more unique standoff situations where I can't remember a time where, yeah, they were looking for one person, they found two, they believe, or we think, based on what we saw, that they have the person in custody, but now it's this weird possible accessory situation. So that's where we're at. Yes.
Part of the pursuit, T-boned by an oncoming car, an innocent driver. Thankfully, the CHP officer in that car is doing okay, not injured.
Right after that, the rest of the other officers still chasing the suspect. They catch up with him, and look at this. They try to corner him in this cul-de-sac. Officers blocked him in. That was a successful pit maneuver, but the suspect finds a way out, and he keeps going. The car chase came to an end, but the suspect kept going, running into an apartment complex. That's right here. Authorities followed, and that is when the standoff began. Again, the suspect is wanted for assault with a deadly weapon and kidnapping.
Yeah, and we see him running here holding a bag, and also there, that's the innocent victim, we think, the kidnapping suspect, who was the woman that was kidnapped. You see him running. This is a closer look, carrying that bag and running up these steps into that apartment. Now, not that long after that, there was reports of shots fired. We see some lights there. There's some conflicting information about whether the deputies themselves fired shots. There are reports that the suspect fired shots at the deputies as well. And so that all happened around 5:45, 6 o'clock. We're now in the 7 o'clock hour. That suspect remains barricaded. We are going to keep an eye on this and bring you any updates when they come. But in the meantime, there is a lot of other news that we want to get to as well as we officially welcome you to the Fox 11 News Special Report. I'm Alex Michaels.
And I'm Marla Tejas. That other big news tonight, news we've been waiting for since the beginning of the pandemic.
This recommendation holds true whether you are inside or outside.